Welcome to day 10 of 100 Days of Propagation with Priscille. I am so glad that you are here. The goal of the series is to really help you and inspire you to propagate with your family. Now, when I talk about cultivating joy through plant care, what does that even look like? That is basically us connecting with nature in a different way. This could even mean botanical watercolor activity with your child. It's connecting with nature in any sort of way indoors, because here I live in Canada and it's fairly cold outside today. We're going to be hitting about minus 25 plus the windshield. And so the time that we get to spend outside is very limited. And the motto here is for you to connect with nature inside, even during those cold months. Now, if you have my first ABC book of houseplants, I'm going to give you a moment to get your plant, because the plant that we're propagating today is in the book and it starts with the letter H. If you haven't guessed, this plant is called a Hoya. Interesting fact, there are many different species of Hoya. Hoya is the common name and scientific name, and so that is very easy to remember. My Hoya, actually, I don't want to take credit. This is my daughter's Hoya. She waters it once in a while. It got a little bit neglected. We can see here we're drying out a little bit. And so we're going to propagate this little plant and give it some new potting mix. And a few fun facts about the Hoyas. Now, this is also called a waxy leaf or waxy plant, and that's because of the leaves. Now, if you feel the leaves, feel free to allow your child to feel the leaves, and that way they can touch and feel how dense the leaves are, and it can actually also be waxy. This plant, if it's receiving its ideal temperature, ideal climate, ideal humidity, it will bloom flowers. And these flowers, these blooms have scented nectar, very sweet nectar that comes from these flowers, which is really interesting. And Hoyas are one of the plants that can bloom year after year after year after year, versus some other plants, and might be thinking about the orchid right now, but there's no limits on how many times this plant can bloom. And so let's get right into it. What you'll be needing today is simple items that you can find around your house. So a clean jar and your propagating scissors or propagating shears. I've shared this in all my videos, how I use children's scissors and the reason why. I won't go into it today, but these ones are used specifically for propagation and propagating with my children. And then we're going to do something fun today that we did yesterday. We're going to get out our acrylic markers because we are going to decorate our little propagation jar. When propagating Hoyas, the most important step is identifying the node, which is where the leaf meets the stem. Now, this is where the roots will form. Use a clean snip and cut just below the node so that the cutting has the best chance to root. And know that each cutting should include at least one node and 1 or 2 leaves. And any other lower leaves, and you'll see me do this, should always be removed, because if you are propagating water or even the soil, the lower leaves will ultimately rot if they're submerged in water or soil. Hoyas can be propagated in either water or soil, but either way, they are naturally slow to root. So patience is going to be key right here. And you can place your cutting in a bright and direct light, but keep it warm. And I've shared this in my previous video as well. When you are propagating, especially in the winter months, you don't want to place them in your windowsill because of the drag. Now, avoid also moving your cutting frequently, because that will cause disruption in the root development. After taking a cutting, I'm going to repot the mother plant, and that basically refreshes the growth. Because my Hoya is not completely bushy, it's still fairly a baby Hoya, I'm going to downsize. So Hoyas actually prefer being slightly root bound, so downsizing to a smaller planter basically supports healthier roots and better moisture control. And repot into fresh, well-draining soil. And I'm going to use a Very Plant mix, which provides airflow for Hoyas, which they absolutely need. Hoyas are native to Southeast Asia and parts of Australia, where they grow as epiphytes on trees in filtered light. Now, epiphytes, if you're not familiar with that term, are basically a collection of plants or a specific species of plants that grows on trees. Now, understanding where they come from is vital to their care. And it makes propagation feel more intuitive. And so that is the key. And I share this in all my workshop. If you want to take better care of your plants, know where they're from. If you understand native habitat, you can recreate it right here. And that is day 10 of 100 Days of Propagation with Priscille. I want to thank you so much for being here and making it this far. If you have found value in this video or in this series, feel free to subscribe and hit that like button. And if you have a plant that you'd love me to propagate within the series, odds are possibly I can propagate the plant. So drop the plant in the comments below. And I just want to encourage you, keep propagating. It does not have to be perfect. It is our way of giving the plant the opportunity to grow. We are bringing life, making life out of what's already there, what you have around your household. And so make it as an activity with you and your family. And I'll see you tomorrow.